Welcome to the 3Haunted podcast, where we bring you all things horror, supernatural, folklore, mythology, and all things that go bump in the night.
What's up, everybody? This is your co-host, Ashley Lunar Goddess, Gorilla Girl filmmaker and horror-loving cinephile. I'm just your average podcast-producing badass.
And I'm John Thomas. If it's haunted, cursed, or just plain weird, I'm into it. From paranormal encounters to horror movie deep dives, urban legends, cryptids, count me in.
I'm BJ Sewura, an aspiring paranormal musician who plays live for the dead because the living just doesn't want to hear me.
What's up, ghouls, gals, and metapals? In today's episode, we're walking towards the light and into the unknown. Joining us to discuss his own near-death experiences is voice actor David Sobolov. Welcome, David.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
So how you doing?
I think we're supposed to be asking you that. No, I'm great. How have you been?
I've been fine. I'm here today to talk about times when I've nearly died. It's been quite a few. I think I have 9 lives. I think I should have been a cat.
You know what's funny is how long I've known you and did not know about any aspect of this until November? You were like, yeah, I have like 5 near-death experiences. And I'm like, what? And we're getting onto an elevator to like go to bed for the evening. I'm like, hold on, pause, open the elevator. What?
Yeah, it doesn't come up very often. I don't talk about it much, but it came up with us and you said you got a podcast. So here I am to tell the world.
Yeah, I'm excited, but also I'm appreciative that you're willing to come on and talk about these things. These aren't conversations that just,
The only weird thing about it is that, there are a couple that are unbelievable. And I don't worry if people don't believe me. I know they're true. And also, it's the nice thing about it, what? Death doesn't always have to be morbid. No. And these are all stories that have a very calm ending. Didn't end in my death, but a couple of them were very, very close. Most of these were 3 of these were within 20 seconds of dying.
Well, I'd like to say I'm glad it did not end in your death.
Yeah, me too. So these aren't stories of me going, actually dying and being revived or anything, but it's what you feel when you know that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. To me, at least, it's been interesting to just live it, because most people don't ever live it. It kind of prepares me for what might happen later. Because every time it's been peaceful.
Well, and I imagine anybody that's had near-death experiences, no near-death experiences alike, right? Just like we're all different and our births are different, our deaths are different. So why would near-death be any different than that? So I am looking forward to hearing about them. Which one would you like to share first?
It's hard to decide what order to put them in. This is a quirky one. This was from the year 2000 in Los Angeles. And I'm walking along Santa Monica Boulevard, minding my own business, and I start to feel things hitting me from behind. Feel smaller things, bigger things, plastic things. I thought someone's throwing something at me. What's going on? And I turned around, and less than 15 feet away from me, there was a car on the sidewalk coming at me at about 60 miles an hour. Now, there is no way I would have gotten out of this normally, except there was a parking meter between the two of us. And he hit the parking meter, and his car went literally 4 feet away from me. And I didn't feel afraid. I went over to him. It was startling. I went over to him, and he had had a heart attack or a stroke or something, and he was just sitting there kind of catatonic. So, I called the ambulance, and they came, and I never found out what happened to him. But I really can say that my life was saved by a West Hollywood, California parking meter. And it really was like, boom, but in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm dead. And then boom, it stopped.
What was hitting you from behind?
Well, he had hit some trash cans, and they were exploding as he hit them. So I think that was the shrapnel from that. And I wasn't hurt because I had thick jeans on, so I didn't get cut or anything. It was just weird. It's very weird and fast, sudden.
Yeah.
You're nothing you could prepare for. So that's one story. Another one. This one was probably where I was like closest. This is the closest to death thing, I think. So this is a longer story if you have time.
We have plenty of time.
So plenty of time. I got nothing but
Multiple
time.
times.
So I grew up in a place called Windsor, Ontario, Canada, near Detroit. And I was right at the edge of the city. And at the time, many years ago, I was about a mile away from cornfields. It was all cornfields. And it was late August. And my marching band had a party, and we were driving people home. Well, there were some very dangerous games they played back then. This would have been 1980. There was a fellow who was in a pub, and he was drinking, and he was drunk, and he was 16. And the police found him there. They called constables there. And instead of taking his keys away, they told him to go home. So he got in his car. He started driving. Well, my group came upon him, and there used to be a game called Cornfield Roulette that they would play. It was kind of like Russian roulette, and it was fun for 16-year-olds. Not a good idea, but it's when you would come upon four corners of all cornfields. You would only do this in late August. The corn was really high. There was a four-way stop, of course, because you couldn't see through the corn, and you turn your lights off so nobody could see that you were coming. And if several people were playing this, you had a higher chance of getting hit. But we would just zip through the stop signs, right? So we did that a couple times. No, nothing happened. And then he caught up with us. We were driving along a rural road about to drop a friend off at his farm. And we turned left onto the driveway, and he hit us broadside at 80 miles an hour. And when he hit my side of the car. I saw his lights coming at my head. And the car, there was an accordion effect. The people in the middle got concussions because the roof hit them in the head. All of the glass of the entire car, excuse me, was shattered. It was a station wagon. And the only reason we lived, A, is because it was built like a tank. It was a 1965 Gran Torino station wagon. And it was the very first year of safety glass. So we would have been all cut to ribbons by the glass the year before. But that model, the safety glass beads, and it saved us. And when we got out of the car, you could see it was crumpled like a piece of paper. There was nothing left of it. And no one died. I had what happened at the time, and I think probably why I called this a near-death experience, aside from the fact that we could have died. There was that white light that I saw, and I think that was just my brain bouncing off my skull. But yeah, so I saw that white light, and my life flashed before me. Everything slowed down, just like you hear about. It was slow motion, even though it was 80 miles an hour. And I had many different little thoughts about my life in the couple seconds, or 1 second even. It's funny how you're not in real time, it's just your brain, right? So I imagine if it thinks it's all going to end soon, it speeds up. And there's a lot of stuff that happens after you die with your brain, but I wasn't there. But yeah, I had whiplash and probably concussion, and they put me in the ambulance with the guy that hit us, and his kneecaps were ripped off. He had so many drugs in him, it didn't bother him. But I was the only one in my group that wasn't going to kill him. So anyway, that's the second one. That felt pretty close.
So, I'm pretty big into near-death experience, like research. I've been doing it quite a bit lately, because I've had my own experience and came back kind of thing. So I experienced something outside of our realm, I guess you can say. But do you think that's what happened to you in that second? Do you think that you kind of experienced? There's a thing called a life review that a lot of NDEs talk about, where you're
for sure. I think my brain thought I was going to be dead, like
Mm-hmm.
more than just my consciousness. Like my body thought I was going to be dead, and it was like giving me a recap before I died. I don't think I actually did die, but I do think that I maybe had a concussion.
No, in the recap that you experienced, I know it was just a small moment in time expanded with
In
all
real
of
time,
these.
yeah.
Yeah, were the moments that you recalled, were they memories from your life that were positive, negative, or like a mixture?
All positive, nothing negative. All the good stuff,
That's great.
which sounds like a movie. And if that's the way it really is, great.
Yeah, you end on the high note.
Yeah, if that's the way it is.
I've heard that it's different for everybody, right? And with the life review, it's kind of one of those things where you experience your life like a flash, but it's through the eyes of everybody that you've influenced.
Interesting.
And you can feel their feelings, the way they were affected by that interaction.
We were going through whatever we were going through in those moments I was recalling, but they were all looking at me like they were waving goodbye.
Oh.
And how old were you at this time?
No, I was 15.
Oh my God.
I wasn't driving. I was in the back. And we were all being good Canadians and wearing our seatbelts.
Thank goodness.
It was also the first year of standard seatbelts. So that card, in a large part, saved us.
You know, it's interesting because your first two stories, I feel like it's the reverse of Final Destination. Like you had these moments building up that protected you from that. Like, for example, in the first one, you had shrapnel hitting you, so that caught your attention to even turn around. Yeah, and it's like, what are the odds of that? And then the second one, you know, it's the year after everything is introduced that would save you. So it's just like, oh my gosh, I want to be around you and just absorb that luck.
I'm going to save this sort of scariest story for the last. I'll save that one for later on. I had another time where I did something stupid when I was 20 years old. I was living in New York City, and I lived in an old 1886 apartment building, and it was a walk-up. So, you know, you're 19 or 20, you can walk up 6 flights of stairs every day. You don't care. I wouldn't do that now, but back then it was fine. And I was locked out of my apartment. I wanted to go home. And our apartment faced another apartment. It was kind of in a C shape. So, you know, there was the front of the building, our apartment building, and then the other apartment building formed the other side of the C, so to speak. And you could talk to your neighbor in the other building. And she was a bit of if you know the phrase grand jeté, you know, from ballet, she was a bit of a grand jeté away. So you couldn't quite step over to her apartment, but you could jump. And I thought, I didn't think about the consequences. I just went to her apartment and I sussed it out really carefully. It was an old-timey window, you know, creaky when you open it up, wooden, and there was a ledge. It was made of brick. And then there was a bar, for some reason, above the window outside, which I think might have been for clothes or something years ago. But I went to jump, you know, and I had no reasonable expectation that bar would hold. But I didn't think about it. I was a stupid kid. And I finally decided, okay, how fast do I have to go? Never thought once about it failing. Of course, then I would have chickened out and just went for it, jumped onto the ledge, grabbed the bar, and the window was open. And I shimmied in like I would if I were in an Indiana Jones movie, feet first. And as soon as I landed, it was like, what did I just do? Then I was scared. But while I was doing it, I was just experiencing it. And, excuse me, easily could have fallen 8 flights to my death. Easily. There was probably a 20% chance that I would have even made that jump. And somehow I survived it. So maybe not in my mind near death, but afterwards realizing I was near death for sure. And that was just a stupid, stupid thing that I did, which of course I've never repeated.
You seem like you're a risk taker.
You know, I learned to be a risk taker in my career later on, and not so much with my body.
Good call.
Yeah, it was a good call. So let's see. I think there's 2 more.
Did you
looking at a list here I wrote?
Did you think that before you jumped, like obviously there was no fear or anything involved before the fact, but I wonder if there was, if you even believe in anything as far as like spirits almost, I don't know, warning you after the fact? I mean, your own self-preservation, but...
It's funny because I thought what you were going to ask was there a spirit protecting me?
Yeah.
I think if spirits protect you, you aren't aware of it. It just happens. And the same afterwards. It's like, okay, I think just my own humanity kicked in. And my intellectual realization, what I had just done. My emotional realization was before hope to get in. You know, I just wanted to go home. Wasn't even thinking about the consequences. You know, that happens a lot with younger people. They just don't, the consequence part hasn't developed in their brains yet. So there's that. So, you know, 2 more. I got pushed into the Montreal subway. I got pushed onto the tracks in the Montreal subway with the car approaching the station. getting a little emotional talking about this stuff now, because they were pretty dangerous.
No, that's terrifying.
Yeah, but luckily though, I was very young. I was 13. I was on this trip that was organized with a bunch of younger people that were camping all across the country, like from Windsor down to Detroit, across to Ohio, all the way up, and then we ended up in Montreal. And it was back at the time. Maybe it's still the way now. It's not a very deep subway, so it wasn't impossible for me to get out. But the train was right approaching the station. But adrenaline kicks in. And I did. I got out and I was fine. And I remember going to her. I knew who pushed me. I knew her. And I just said, funny things. Okay, you think of things that could be scripted into a movie or something. What would they say in those circumstances? And I just said, you are totally stupid. They ended up taking her away and sending her home. I think attempted murder is probably not a good thing to have. Somebody's doing that. You shouldn't really be traveling with them.
It's frowned upon in a lot of places.
It is. I need to take a second because this next one's very emotional. This is the worst one.
No, please do.
Yeah. The last one was when I was 14, and another party with the band, Dangerous Band. It was Lake St. Clair, if you know what that is. It's one of the Great Lakes, the smallest version of the Great Lakes. I think it's between Lake Erie and Lake Huron. So we were swimming, having fun, and I was 14. And I was strong and young, and I could paddle, and I could tread water, and I just started daydreaming, as if I was walking in the woods, just daydreaming. And I'm treading water, not thinking about anything. And then I look up and I can't see the shore anymore. I didn't get scared. I just continued on, and I don't know, I didn't even think about how I would get back, whether or not I would live or die. I just kept going. And they had already knew I was missing. I'd been gone over an hour, and there were people out looking for me. Well, I didn't know this, but I wasn't facing the shore, and I couldn't see the shore because I just wasn't facing the shore. It was really far away, but I'd been turned around and been caught up in the current. There's, I don't know, it's not really a river at that point, but the Detroit River goes into Lake St. Clair, very strong current. Of course, there's something moving the water to the next lake, right? So that's what I was caught in. But I decided, okay, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the strength. I wasn't panicking. I didn't panic at all. I was very relaxed. And I took my last breath, and I was going to let myself die because I knew I was going to die. I was very, very aware in that circumstance that I was going to die. And I started to sink below the water, and somebody was there to grab me. Somebody got me. It was they were all there looking for me, and it was the tuba player.
Oh.
The tuba player was on a surfboard, and he grabbed me, and I was kind of weak by then. I was pretty exhausted. But here's the crazy thing. They brought me back to shore. I had no upset, no distraught. I was distraught. Wasn't worried about it. I figured, well, I guess I'm not going to die today. And I just kept going along. And somebody asked me, hey, do you want to go up in a plane? Like, what? You want to go up in a plane? I'd never flown before. It's like, okay. So they drove me to Windsor Airport. And I ended up on this, probably, to me now, like really semi-dangerous, small prop plane. And I just enjoyed the view. Didn't think about dying there either. And they were parents of the people in the band. And there weren't like tons of people around me going, yeah, good for you, you're alive. It was just, late 1970s. I mean, there was so much risk involved in life. No one was being protected. And they just came and got me and then just dumped me on the shore. That was it. But I found the guy 5 years ago on Facebook.
The tuba player?
Yeah, to thank him for my life.
Oh.
I wouldn't have had a life except for him.
Having so many close calls, and even one to the point where you just accepted this is it, this is the end. Have you found that those moments get recalled when you're making certain choices, like to help you either take more of a risk or pull back from risk?
Oh, sure. Huge. I never wanted to swim again for the rest of my life. Although I did a couple times, somewhat involuntarily. I was in Hawaii. I was in Australia, and a friend took me as a birthday present out to snorkel deep into the ocean, and I didn't want to go. It terrified me to go back in the water again. I'd been back in the water at all. Swimming pools, yeah, but not the ocean or a lake. We jumped in. I was terrified. I only could stay in a couple minutes, but I got to see a fish eating a fish like that. That's all I saw. But then after that, I think the next time I swam was in Hawaii in about 2018, and really found that I gained a bit of weight by then, and I wasn't very good at swimming anymore. So they were going. We were going out and looking at one of the only places in the world where you could see manta rays come up to you, because they would shine a light down on the krill. The krill would gather or whatever it was, and they would come up and eat it. They were eating, and they would come up to the light and then turn around. They never bother you. But I got to stay there for a little bit, and a guy next to me started panicking. He started clutching at me, and there was a pretty heavy surf. I could have drowned then, but I held on, and they pulled him off of me, and then they got me back to the boat. I guess that's sort of near death too, but I never thought of it as that. I have no interest in swimming ever again, to be honest.
I don't like swimming in the ocean, so I'm good without any of that. I don't need to meet a manta ray. When you were in the lake and you had kind of accepted that moment that was it for you, did you feel alone, or did you feel like maybe there was something with you? Or was it just not even on the radar?
Well, I was 14, so I didn't think of someone with me. However, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I wasn't, the weird thing is that I was so calm. Every time I've been faced with death, it's always been pleasant or calm. There's never been any panic. There's me just facing the situation and moving on from it. And, it changed me completely. These experiences. I don't fear death at all. I fear not existing. That bothers me. But I know that when I die, it's not. Yeah, you might get sick. There might be something that happens before that's unpleasant or unhappy. But the actual part of dying is not going to bother me.
What I find interesting is all of these experiences that you're having, they are not calm ways to die. Like being hit from behind by a car, being T-boned by a car going 80 miles an hour, drowning. Like a lot of people have a fear of drowning.
Mm-hmm.
And these are or falling from heights, like very violent, very strong fear-based, like things people are afraid of dying from, deaths. And yet for you found moments of calm even in that, which is, it's pretty interesting.
It was also weird that I was such a daredevil, because I didn't feel especially daredevilish. I was kind of a wimpy kid. But I don't know, just it wasn't anything I never thought, okay, I could have think, oh no, I might die. I have to be careful what I do. It took me a long time to have those kind of ideas in my head. Doing things I didn't think of. I didn't even worry about what would happen. It wasn't that I wanted to die or anything, but it just like I shrugged my shoulders thinking about it strangely back then. So I just want to do what I want to do. Whatever happens, happens.
It's interesting to hear you talk about all these different stories too, because I actually teach driver's ed. That's like my day job, and so hearing about the safety glass, and that's something that I teach my students about, and just how you were saved with new technology, but also I don't know. I tend to believe that the other side has influence on what you're supposed to do here and when it's your time, and all these close calls. It seems like there was something else in hand there. At least one of the times. I got to say at least one of them, right? And
well, definitely in the lake,
mm-hmm.
because the odds that I would even be saved were pretty small. I should have just been another statistic, some 14-year-old kid that died drowning, but I wasn't.
Did you hear any ringing in your ears when any of those things happened?
Yeah. When I got hit by the car, when I was in the car, I did. Yeah, you know what? It's crazy you say that. Let me think. If I go over all these experiences, every time, you're right. Never thought of that before. Pushed in the subway, the ringing is like adrenaline, I think, to me.
I've some of the near death experiences of people that I've researched on, they say that that ringing is spirits coming in and having an influence. Some people believe that. I've had experiences with that when I've been teaching my students merging on the highway, where there's been a couple close calls, and I think about it afterwards. I'm like, oh yeah, we could have had a really bad experience just then, but it just felt like something was put at ease in the student's mind, and we ended up being okay. But there was ringing, and it was weird.
Well, aside from the ringing, I just don't understand what possessed me to be so calm in every one of those circumstances.
Well, and you did just, mention the adrenaline and the ringing, but to be in such a calm state, I actually kind of wonder if your adrenaline was rushing in those moments.
Well, it had to be in the subway because I would have died.
Yes, that, but I'm thinking like because I feel like with the car, at the beginning, with the car coming at you from behind and you turning around, you're just kind of calmly watching this thing come at you.
Oh, I
And
wasn't calm.
thank
No,
goodness,
I had no time for it to really even register whether or not it was
yeah.
calm. It was seconds.
But that makes me
Oh,
wonder if the adrenaline even had time to kick in, what that ringing would have been.
baby, but you know what? You just reminded me of something. I didn't try to run. I just stood there because there was no time anyway.
Yeah.
I was just sort of, okay, go for it. Let's see what happens.
Go for it. Thank goodness for that parking meter.
Yeah, thank you, sturdy parking meter.
Whew.
I mean, well, it's like a cartoon because the front of something in the engine must have hit it, and it really did go. It stopped from 0 to nothing is a pretty violent thing. That thing stopped the meter stopping him at 60 miles an hour was pretty dramatic.
After having all of those, like after each experience, did you find that your overall senses were heightened after each one?
Let's see. Let me go through all of them. The subway, yes, for sure. Um, the drowning, no. I was just cool and kept going. Didn't give it another thought for years. Yeah, let me think. Car accident, no. It's pretty mellow then. Jumping between buildings, yes, for sure. Station wagon, no. Never got me upset.
I was just wondering if, like, after each of these experiences, especially the ones where you almost got hit and you were thrown onto the tracks, if, like, I don't even want to assume a time frame, but after those are over, if our external senses are heightened. So sounds are maybe a little louder, lights are a little brighter for days, months, I don't know, but just like that being keyed into the world around us heightened a bit more after experiencing something like that.
Well, even during, you reminded me of something else. You reminded me of a lot of things I never even conceived before, so that's good. Um, the TV show The Flash?
Hmm.
I was on the TV show The Flash as Gorilla Grodd. He was a psychic gorilla. Well, The Flash, the Flash himself, they would have moments when he needed to mess with somebody, and they would show his perspective. So he's going, but they show him like everything slowed down. And in a lot of these circumstances I was in, everything slowed down enough that I could experience it. It wasn't like, oh, what happened? Every one of these things I was present for as if they took minutes. And that's interesting to me, how time just slowed down.
It is interesting that it also happened when you were a teenager, that all these things you were very young, and I don't know, the timing of something of those things happening in that time of your life, like it had to have a big influence as well, right?
Well, you're right, because it happened from 77 to 85, and then nothing until 2000. So it was when I was younger. Yeah, no, I knew by the last incident, when I jumped between the two buildings, that I wasn't worried about death. And I've known that ever since. Um, don't really want to suffer when I'm dying, but the actual dying thing. And it's not because I believe there's a peaceful place to go or anything. I just believe, my religious belief is basically, excuse me, that you were an energy of consciousness and it just sort of goes back into that consciousness. And we will never again be human. And if we are, we won't have any control over it. It'll just redisperse our energy. You know, when Mary Martin was dying, she was Peter Pan years ago. Carol Channing, another Broadway actor, was with her, and she said the minute she died, a wisp of smoke came out of her head. And I think of that with my dad too. He's a very, very smart man, a scientist. How could all of that knowledge just disappear in 1 second? That never made sense to me. So I think we go somewhere, but it may not be anywhere that we think of in our religious studies or traditions.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, right? Like everybody has an idea of what it is, religion or otherwise. And that's for me, that's the big thing why I've been searching into the NDEs to just understand my own experience and how all these other people experience things and if it's similar, if it's different and like and for me the biggest thing is just given comfort. It's been kind of like what you said. It's been you're going back to your full self, I guess you could call it, and you're not thinking with your mind anymore because you don't have a mind, but it's your soul basically recognizing that it's part of a full consciousness. You're still you, but you're part of the big picture, right?
Well, in those moments, I wasn't operating like a normal human being. Everything, the slowing down thing, let me see every moment as it was happening, which you can't do in real life. You have to be going through something that's threatening your life, I think. I think that's the only time that happens.
Maybe there's something that happens within our energy that can influence the time experience around us. So only in those moments where we aren't necessarily consciously aware, but energetically aware that this is it, this is the end, we are able to then influence in some way that slow down, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I want to give you an idea that doesn't really. It does very much relate to what we're talking about, but you may not think it does. I've known a lot of people who have killed themselves, also, and I've also known a lot of people who have threatened to kill themselves. I shouldn't say a lot, under 10 total, but the people that threaten to kill themselves never kill themselves. It's the ones that they never said a word. They're the ones that are actually going to do it. So it's a mindset. It's like their 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 determination is real. But I think a lot of people, like, if they were worried about going through what I would go through, they would panic. They'd freak out. They'd be fearful. I didn't have a chance to. I should have in the thing where I jumped across two buildings, but I never had a chance to realize what was going to happen. It just happened. There's no advance. There's no time to fret about it. There's no time to spend any time considering, trying to get out of it. It just was. It's maybe why I was calm.
Well, that and a lot of people feel like it's almost they have the out of body experience, and that's part of it, right? Like people that get struck by lightning, people like all of these things, people that get into other car accidents, things like that. They're present mentally, but it's from somewhere else, right? They're not in their body. They're able to observe at a very detailed level that isn't really possible.
No, nothing that humans could normally do without something weird going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a glitch in the software.
Glitch in the software.
No, you and I have actually had dinner in a supposed historical haunted location.
Yes.
With your perception of where we go afterwards and energy, how do you view the umbrella of the paranormal and the haunted?
I think that ghosts exist. Um, it's weird because my view of what happens to me does not match of what I see in the world. Does not match what I see in the world. Like, I don't really think that I'm going to have a consciousness after I die. I just think I'm going into a collective consciousness. But those ghosts are very specific. They take form and shape, and they often were people that existed before. Yeah, I've experienced that myself. I've experienced times when I felt a presence, and it may not have been that specific, but like even in that place we were in, um, there was something dense about not the atmosphere. What would you say? Like in the basement where we went, where the supposed
Mm-hmm.
spirits were, um, it didn't feel like a normal room.
There was definitely something different about the energy of the tone of the room.
And we were almost sort of laughing about it. At least I was. Like, oh, I can feel something here. Doesn't make me nervous, but it's very strange and different. And it's always in old buildings. It's almost never in anything new. Although it would be interesting to go somewhere that used to be. Would be interesting. Okay, say you have a place that was haunted, and they knock it down, and then they build a new building. Is that new building going to be haunted or not, or will they move on?
I guess it depends what it's haunting, the grounds or the bones or
Yeah, well, it is sometimes the bones, I imagine. So yeah, it's so weird. Like I say, my views of my own existence don't match my views of the outside existence. It's like, yes, spirits can exist, but I don't think I'll ever be one. You know, when my mother died, I was looking for signs that she could still communicate with me. And I remember saying to her, if you can hear me, Mom, move this matchbox to the other end of the desk by tomorrow morning. Well, it doesn't work like that.
that's a lot of energy.
I think it comes to you. Well, another thing, and this is the paranormal psychic thing that I experience. For years after my mother died, I would see her on the street. I would see her getting onto a bus and waving at me. These are real people, but this is what I saw, and it was her. A very good friend of mine, or mentor of mine, really, a director, had died, and I knew the moment it happened. I saw somebody on the street in New York years ago when they used to have pianos on the street in New York. The abandoned buildings or the knocked down buildings that there's a fence. They tie an upright grand to the wire to the fence. And there was somebody sitting there with a straw hat playing it, and I said, "Oh, Grace is dead." And I got home and I got the call. I used to have a partner who was a twin, and he knew when his twin was calling. We didn't have call display or anything back then. We weren't seeing the number of the person who was calling. It's like, oh, that's Martin, or Martin's about to knock on the door, and then he'd knock on the door. So huge psychic link with twins. Might be similar to something as a psychic link with something beyond life.
Well, we've done paranormal investigations. We've interviewed a lot of paranormal investigators and just psychics and mediums and all of that. And it seems to be that it's both. That there are spirits still here, and then there are spirits in the afterlife that have moved on, right? If you believe in those sorts of things, and the ones that stay here could be them, or it could just be an echo of them, like something that happened to them. If they died tragically, it just keeps repeating, and then that energy just stays there, and that's what you're experiencing. Or
although with you seeing your mother waving at you, that doesn't sound like an echo. That that sounds like an actual presence, sentience presence. There we go.
But what does it connect to what you guys talk about? The idea of knowing someone has just died, even though you shouldn't really know that they died.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I experienced something like that, and I've talked about it before on the podcast. But the lady that I was dating a while ago, like forever ago, her grandmother had actually passed. She was really sick. She was in hospice, and it was like the day before she had passed. I had gotten up to go to the restroom, which was like not very far from the bedroom. Came back into the room and laid down. It was in the middle of the night. Went to sleep, and then all of a sudden, I saw somebody walking from where the bathroom was into the bedroom, and I could feel the bed like sit down, like somebody was sitting down on the bed. So I thought it was my girlfriend at the time. I was like, oh, she got up and went to the bathroom too. And then I reach over and I can feel her laying there, and I'm like, what the heck? And I can see literally the shape of somebody sitting there. And then the next morning we got the call that she had passed. So
I think the knowing speaks to a connection that you were talking about, because it's not just with the spirits or the recently deceased, like you said, the twin, knowing that they're about to call or they're showing up at the door. There is, I think, a sensitivity that we do have that some of us are able to tap into maybe a little more with the specific individual, but we do have connections, I think, that we are a little bit more keyed into someone's energy than others. And so we know when they are focused on us, because I think the call and the knocking isn't so much, hey, I know that what this person is doing, but it's more so that person is focused their energy on you and you're receiving that because they're calling you or they're knocking on your door.
I will have dreams about people that I haven't seen in years, and I'll call them. I had a dream that a friend wasn't doing well financially, and I called him, and it was true, and I had worked for him, so that worked out great for him and for me.
I think you're a sensitive,
He is
David.
definitely a sensitive.
You got some intuitive knowing there.
But it always comes in dreams, or just it isn't direct. It isn't like I see it. It's not like your typical psychic would be portrayed.
No, you see, that's where there is no such thing as a typical psychic, but you are in good company because
Stereotypical psychic.
You're with a bunch of dream warriors here. So most of our gifts come to us through dreams or through sleep. And so that's pretty interesting. Like I myself, I'm a lucid dreamer. BJ has all kinds of, kind of similar to you, foreshadowing within his dreams. And so the dream world is definitely something we are constantly fascinated with because it does affect this group pretty strongly. You're in good company.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I am. You guys are very nice.
Thank you.
It's interesting though that I will occasionally have these experiences with very strong dreams or visions of individual people I see on the street or whatever, but not of like greater tragedies. Like what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Ukraine. You don't feel the pain of a million people. You hear about it, you're sympathetic to it, but in terms of just being cognizant of it, it's always individuals for me.
It's probably a protective element that in place that's good, right? Because if we feel the weight of the world
You
on us,
wouldn't be able to handle it.
yeah, it's too much. So the idea that it's only specific focused individuals is probably just inadvertently a good psychic defense.
I guess I had a sixth near-death experience that I haven't told you about.
Let's hear it.
I knew I was really sick, and I had pneumonia. And it was a time in my life where I didn't want any medicine, any aspirin, no medical intervention at all. And I was literally sitting at home going, barely breathing. And I kind of was deciding, okay, do I want to live or do I want to die? And I just decided I wanted to live, and I went and got help. But while I was lying there, it's weird. I went through this time during that sickness where I didn't even try to get better. I was just experiencing what I was going through and just seeing what it would do to me. Again, very young. It was probably around the time I jumped to the building, across the buildings. So I feel that I was probably pretty close to not waking up one night, but I finally got some help for that. But it was interesting that I wasn't really even thinking about a negative. Maybe because I didn't think of death as negative. I wasn't serious enough about preventing it. Weird.
Well, teenagers obviously think that they're invincible. I mean, I have a classroom full of them. They're always, talking like nothing bad's gonna happen. I'm like, well, here's a video of people getting in wrecks as teenagers. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, do they still show those?
Oh my God, yes.
We had those in high school.
Yes, it's
Snuff
bad.
films.
It's hard to watch every week or whenever I do it because I've seen it many times, and then just to see how they react to it. Some of them cry. The teenage boys in the class laugh, which is weird.
That's a nervous laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird kind of vibe for sure. But
I had a friend who was in his convertible in Vancouver, and with his partner, and there was a sheet metal truck in front of him, flatbed truck with sheets of flat metal, and one of them flew off and decapitated his boyfriend who was driving the car as they were driving.
Okay, that's Final Destination stuff there.
Okay. But my story was, I wanted to tell the story because what happened to him later on, he was sort of in the hospital denying everything, not accepting emotionally what had happened, and then he just started screaming, and it hit him This is not a story about the afterlife or anything, but it's just the way people react to death is really interesting to me. You know, it's sad end. Some people laugh at death. You know, some people get the giggles. You know, or they expect you to act a certain way when you experience death. I think we should all just do it our own way.
What's interesting is I have grown up with high paranormal kind of exposure from as young as I can remember until now. I consistently experience things that challenge, and I will always say, if it's real, just to kind of rationalize away my fear. But having been exposed to that, you think that would be enough for me, right? Like there's something else, there's something after, but I still have a very high intense fear of death, to the point where I avoid funerals if I can. I avoid all sorts of just things that might expose me to death, which is also funny because I also watch a lot of horror. But when it comes to real things, real death, real, kind of that end of the spectrum of things, I don't cope with it well at all.
I realized through the people who have died in my life that if I didn't go through the process of accepting the death, of doing the things that I needed to do to make it real, it would bother me for years. Like when my mother died, my dad did not allow me to go to the burial. He wanted to do it by himself. That caused a problem because I didn't really have any closure. It didn't seem real. But when my dad died, and I shoveled it, I took a shovel of earth and put it on top of his coffin, and saw him dead in his open coffin, that let me accept that it was real. And I could move on a lot faster than I did with my mom. Not easy, but it's really helpful.
Maybe that's part of the reason why she shows up sometimes and waves to you, right? Like in a moment where she knows that you just need to see her, you need to be part of.
No, I don't agree, because it was completely innocuous, random times when I didn't need anything and I was fine. It wasn't when I was older, mostly when I was in my 20s. Doesn't really happen in years. The dreams are what I have now.
Yeah.
Dreams of people. And I need to, that I obviously need to contact for some reason.
How often do you get those dreams?
Probably about every 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Just did one the other day, and I have to contact the guy. Not because I think he's in trouble, but I just think there's a reason for us to talk to each other.
Yeah, I mean, you're listening to these, which is important, right? You're not just dismissing them. You've recognized that there's something important to these dreams and you're following them. I'm a firm believer, no matter whether it's a regular muscle or a metaphysical muscle, the more you utilize it, the stronger it is and the more it's going to occur. So the fact that you embrace it and you follow up on it, who knows, next year you'll be like, I get them every week.
I don't know if I'd want to get them every week.
You're like, nope. Okay, I'll take back what I said.
Although there are dreams of people that I have when something has happened in our lives together, and or people that are constantly in my life, some fictional scenario. I don't consider that one of those dreams. That's different.
Do you keep a dream journal?
No, I used to when I was younger. I would wake up and immediately go to my typewriter and start typing out all the details, because I get some really interesting screenplays in there, but I can never remember them.
Heck yeah, the creative juice is flowing. I do that too sometimes, because I'm sometimes a script writer, but yeah, when you have those dreams, you wake up. It's like the first 7 minutes or something like that, and then they'll just disappear.
Oh, it's way faster than that for me. By the time I've opened my eyes and walked to the bathroom, it's gone.
I have full movie dreams, like beginning, middle, end.
Yep.
I trace it backwards, so that solidifies it in my memory for the day. So as soon as I wake up and I'm remembering the dream, I remember the end, and then I take it backwards to the beginning. And then by doing that, it's like rewatching the movie, I guess, and rewind. But for some reason, if I do that, then I can remember it, weeks, months past that dream.
Do you have recurring dreams like I do sometimes?
Not recurring themes, but recurring places, yes. Even if they're places I've never been, I will dream about the same place.
I had a while when I was a teenager dreaming about falling off of an ancient... I was falling on a bicycle. It was always a bicycle, and I would fall off the path over a cliff. But the cliff was you could see it as I was falling, it was all bricked and it was mossy, like it was some old building that never ended. You know, they always say that I've heard it said that if you hit the ground, you die of a heart attack.
You die, right?
But I never hit the ground.
Knock on wood, but I've died so many times in my dreams that I just don't even
Really?
think that anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Like we're talking bomb explosions, car accidents, plane crashes. Like they say you're not, like your body isn't supposed to allow you to die in your dreams. Well, that's a lie. And usually I wake up as soon as like whatever death occurs, but don't love it. Like I do not love that at all. But yeah, my brain allows it. Stupid mean brain.
Well, I hope what we've spoken of isn't too far away from your topic that you usually talk about.
No, we talk about a wide range of topics. Everything we've talked about fits into it perfectly.
Good. I was wondering when you asked me to do the podcast if it would even be relevant, but I'm glad it is.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. Is there anything for you that you're curious about? I mean, we all do different things. So we've got 2 paranormal investigators in here. I've been a ghost girl for life. Like, do you have any curiosities?
I guess curiosity would be if you in your, I know you've done some investigations and travels and looking into this more deeply. Do you find identifiable ghosts that you know exactly who they are and you can look them up in history?
I've experienced that accidentally once, and that was through BJ.
Oh yeah,
He was at he goes frequently to this high paranormal activity place in Colorado, and he asked me to do remote kind of investigation with him. So he videoed me from there, and I kind of walked him through different areas, kind of, hey, could you go in there? Could you sit here? Could you do this? And a name came to me. And I don't typically get names. It's kind of random if I'm in a place where I'll get a name. I would never call myself psychic because I don't feel like I channel things, but sometimes I do pick up on cues. A name came to me and it was bugging me, like this name, because it was persistent. So I looked up the history of the place and we discovered the name that I was picking up on. Wasn't it like the last monk or something that had died on the property was that name?
Yeah, I was at a monastery, a big one in Colorado. Yeah.
You can't make that up.
And that freaked me out. It freaked me out because I didn't know really anything about this place. I just know BJ's like, I really like coming to this place. Could I video you in? Sure. And this name kept coming to me, so I gave it to him. And then it was bothering me, like it was nagging me. And so well after we had ended the call, this name, it's like whatever I was connected to was still insistent. Like I felt it almost like someone trying to whisper in your ear this name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fine.
Well, it's undeniable then.
Yeah, so I started researching and I looked up the name and I was like, oh. And I gave it to BJ and I'm like, do what you will with it. Because that same night, things started popping off in my house. And I'm like, okay, I never want to do a remote viewing again like that. Or not remote viewing, but like a remote kind of investigation, because in my bathroom, it sounded like things were falling over. And I was wide awake. And then at some point, I'm just like, hey, knock it off. And it stopped.
I've only ever had one psychic reading in my life, and it was a palm reading. It was when I was a child. Well, so many things happened to me when I was a child that haven't happened since, but they said I would live to be 92 years old, very specific, and have 5 children. So I liked that, and I've never had another palm reading since because of that. I don't want to hear conflicting information.
You're like, 92, got it. Woo!
The 5 kids are obviously dogs.
Hey, they didn't specify human children.
Yeah, they're children. Yeah. I've had 3 now, so I get 2 more, I guess.
I'll be honest, I'm highly skeptical because there's so many. Nowadays, it's trendy to be a shaman and a psychic and a
Yeah, it's not real. Most of them aren't real.
So I tend to be pretty highly skeptical. But given that we've been almost 7 years in the podcast now, we've had the privilege of meeting people that some of them you just click with. And there's one that comes on regularly, and I will buy readings from her. And like, ooh, that sounds neat. Let me do that. But I still always approach it with, we'll see. Even though at this point she's by far proven her stuff is accurate with me, specifically me. So I'll get it. And then I read it and I'm like, oh, well, that hit too close to home. How dare you? And in a way that's like, obviously we have social media. She knows about me, but not in that way. I don't put very personal things on social media. So when she keys in on something, I'm like, I don't like this.
That's how you knew she was legit. But when somebody can identify something specific, Ashley, you don't like it. Doesn't feel
No,
good.
I feel exposed and
Too invasive.
vulnerable. Yeah, because I am, as much as I put myself out there, it's in a very controlled way. So like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're so vulnerable." And I'm like, "But I'm not really." But
No.
so when someone is able to just like rip that open and go right in on the vulnerable stuff, I'm like, "Oh, see, you're not allowed to do that."
Hey, everybody has their boundaries and they should be respected.
Now, technically, I'm asking for it. I invite it with the readings, but it does catch me off guard because, again, part of me I think is always going to go in skeptical, and then when it lands and it's spot on, then it's like, oh man, I should have known by now. Be real.
I think the number of fake psychics you see out there, of course, there are real ones, I believe, but people reading tarot cards, people reading palms that really don't have any psychic ability. It sells because people need hope and people need therapy. And sometimes I think they go to those people for therapy. There was a fellow that was reading tarot cards outside in Vancouver on a card table, and he was there for years along a street called Robson. And he had a big sign in front of his desk that said, "I will not tell you you're going to die." That was his selling point.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, something we haven't really talked about, but we should because it's about our podcast. Do you have a favorite scary movie?
Oh, I do. It's kind of, I think it's pretty scary. Lars von Trier, the German director, made a movie in 1991 called Zentropa. It had two different titles. I believe the European title was Zentropa, and the American title was either Europa or Europa Europa. The same year there was a Europa and a Europa Europa, so very confusing. So look for Zentropa. It's about borders in time, physical borders, borders in perception. It's all about borders, and I love borders, and it's pretty scary.
I'm gonna look it up.
Very obscure.
For our listeners who'd like to take a little bit more dive into your professional side with your voice acting, where can they find more about you?
I would suggest my Instagram. It's David_Sobolov. And we'll see where I'm appearing at least.
And if he is appearing in an area near you, I invite you to come out and meet him. Truly a wonderful person, lovely conversations. I see you with people at your table, and you seem to really cultivate genuine interactions there. So
we're selling an experience, not an autograph.
Yep. I love that.
And some people don't get that, but I do, I think.
You definitely give the experience.
I love to hear that. That's so great.
You can't just, there's an old phrase in showbiz, phoning it in from Toledo, and I can't do that with people in front of me. I have to hear their stories and respond. I know we got to go. One quick story from a convention that I really loved, which is almost this topic, but not quite. And I think you've heard the story from me, Ashley. So a woman came up to me who was deaf, and I'm a voice actor, and she's a fan of Gorilla Grodd on The Flash. Like, how could she be a fan of Gorilla Grodd? And she told me it was the only character in the show she could somewhat hear, like feel. She could put those speakers on the ground and lie on the ground and listen to me. And she put her hand on my chest so she could hear Gorilla Grodd. It was very moving to me.
That's awesome.
Cultivating experiences.
Yes.
Well, thank you, David Sobolov.
Thank you all.
This has been amazing. John Thomas, do you have anything?
No, just thank you for coming on. And Gorilla Grodd is the best, just saying. But I love the Flash TV show. So, and just knowing that you were on there, hell yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. And it was really great talking about something that I never speak about in public. Different.
I appreciate you coming on, being willing to talk about it.
My pleasure.
All right, Bija Segura, do you want to bring us home?
Absolutely. Again, thank you for coming in on this podcast and just being vulnerable with us. That's not an easy thing to do about really intense things that happened in your life. That's we really appreciate that, and our listeners will appreciate that, and hopefully they can open up with the family and the people that they care about, and it can mean something to talk about these things. So
I've known people that have brought secrets to the grave, and I don't think it's very healthy while you're alive to do that.
yeah. So from all of us here, thank you for tuning in to this episode of 3Haunted Podcast with your hosts. I'm BJ Segura.
I'm Ashley Lunar Goddess.
I'm John Thomas.
Oh, I'm David Sobolov.
If you have any questions, comments, or episode suggestions, please feel free to email us at 3hauntedpodcast@gmail.com. If you haven't done so already, please like, follow, and subscribe to all our social media. You don't want to miss our amazing guests like David.
Also, don't forget to check out 3hauntedpodcast.com, where you'll find all of our past and current season episodes, as well as guest information and all kinds of awesome merch.
Until next time.